Marseille, France. Alice Munro flinches when she hears a knock at the door. She looks through the peephole and sees a man in a motorcycle helmet who introduces himself as a delivery driver. But Alice doesn't believe him and braces the door with a chair, while the man starts pounding on it more and more insistently. She is forced to escape through the window. The motorcyclist breaks the door down and rushes after her in pursuit. In desperation, the woman cries out for help. A week earlier, Alice Munro, an archaeologist, meets in Paris with her lover Tom Parker, who works for a refugee aid organization. They maintain a long-distance relationship and periodically meet in hotels around the world. Each of them is primarily focused on their own career, so marriage and family are not for them. Now the couple is having a great time together, dining at a restaurant. Alice shares good news with Tom. She has been offered a job, a position as an associate professor of archaeology at Princeton. It is exactly what she has long wanted. Since Alice will be given an apartment on campus, she suggests that Tom try living together. Tom doesn't know how to respond to such an unexpected proposal. On the one hand, Alice likes that, because of their rare meetings, the passion between them never fades. On the other, she wants to start building her own life instead of digging up the lives of others. The woman is tired of endless travel and archaeological excavations. They need to make a decision together. Tom takes his lover's hand and says he is ready to try. The next morning, the man suggests that Alice celebrate this new stage of their lives by going to a resort in Arles. Tom has already booked a luxurious hotel. Alice is delighted, anticipating a perfect vacation with champagne, oysters and a spa. The couple boards a train. At some point, Tom receives a call from an unknown number. He steps away from his seat to answer it. Alice doesn't notice when she dozes off. She is awakened by the automated announcement of the next stop. She begins to seriously worry because Tom is not nearby. Alice looks for him on the train, but he is nowhere to be found. She calls him and reaches voicemail. The situation becomes increasingly strange. It is as if Tom has vanished into thin air. Alice searches for him in other carriages, but still to no avail. The woman cannot understand what is happening. She shows Tom's photo to other passengers, yet no one has seen this man. Since Alice does not speak French, a passenger named Helen acts as her interpreter. Alice fears that Tom may have leaned against a door and fallen out of the train. The conductor, Maurice Giraud, assures her that this is impossible because the doors remain closed while the train is moving. The train only stopped in Avignon. Alice insists on inspecting the service compartment, but the conductor refuses, since passengers are not allowed access there. Suddenly Alice receives a call from Tom. In the receiver, she hears only the sound of water and a car door closing. Not knowing what to do, Alice gets off at the station. Helen advises her to go to the police. That is exactly what Alice plans to do, and she thanks the woman for her concern. She really wants to believe that all of this is just some absurd misunderstanding. Helen Landau, a journalist, gives Alice her business card in case she needs help. For now, the women go their separate ways. Alice goes to the police station, but they refuse to take her report because 48 hours have not yet passed since Tom's disappearance. Somehow all of Tom's documents have disappeared from her backpack. Police Inspector Drax asks the woman whether anything has changed recently. Alice replies that she and Tom had agreed to move in together after 4 years of their relationship. The inspector suggests that perhaps Tom got scared of the responsibility and ran away. But Alice categorically does not believe this, knowing that Tom would never do such a thing. In any case, the police will not take action until 48 hours have passed. Thus Alice is left alone with this nightmare. She recalls her first meeting with Tom. His car had broken down on the highway. Alice stopped and offered him a ride, because neither of them had a spare tire. Even then, they realized it was fate. Unwilling to wait, Alice sets out to investigate the railway route on her own. She is determined no matter what, to get to the truth and find her lover. At the stop before Avignon, Alice finds Tom's chewing gum wrapper, which may indicate that he did get off the train after all. The only question is whether it was voluntary. There is also a fast-flowing river nearby. When the strange call from Tom came in, the sound of water could be heard on the line. Alice returns to the police station. However, Inspector Drax does not believe that a chewing gum wrapper proves anything at all. But even if Tom got off the train there is no reason to think he did so against his will. Drax remains convinced that Tom simply chose to run away from a serious relationship. Alice's claim that Maurice Giraud, the train conductor, might know more than he is saying seems outright ridiculous to the inspector. The woman is certain that something bad has happened. Tom had dedicated his life to helping refugees and was deeply committed to his work. But that came with great risks. Undoubtedly, Tom had enemies among local criminals. He protected refugee women whose disappearances would have gone unnoticed. That was exactly what the criminals were trying to exploit. Tom worked alongside his colleague Mira, whom Alice had met at a refugee camp. Alice meets with Helen and tells her about her suspicions regarding Tom's abduction. She feels that the conductor is involved, whose behavior had seemed suspicious from the very beginning. Helen does not understand why anyone would kidnap Tom. It is almost always about money, yet he is far from wealthy. If Tom was abducted, the kidnapper must have had a very strong motive. As an investigative journalist, Helen advises Alice to recall the details and find something more substantial than a gum wrapper. Then perhaps she will be able to help. At the hotel, Alice rummages through all of Tom's belongings in search of clues, and finds something that makes her doubt his words about his recent routes before their meeting in France. Looking through the photos on Tom's camera, Alice discovers that he and Mira have matching tattoos. Perhaps they were more than just colleagues. The next morning Alice visits the office of the charitable organization where Tom works and meets his colleague, Alex Durand. She tells him about Tom's disappearance 2 days ago. The day before he vanished, he had called the office, even though he told her he was speaking with his uncle in Paris. Unfortunately, Alex does not know who exactly Tom spoke to. Calls can be redirected anywhere. Alex mentions that the tragedy that happened 9 months ago in Jordan had a profound impact on Tom. Alice does not understand what tragedy he is referring to. Alex explains about the attack on a refugee camp that claimed many lives, including an 8-year-old boy named Malik, to whom Tom had grown very attached. Everyone has their limit, and that was Tom's. Alex is certain that his colleague never truly recovered. Alice hears about this for the first time, unable to understand why Tom never told her anything. Alex promises to do everything possible to find him. Alice continues her search. Before they boarded the train, Tom had behaved completely normally, but it seems that was just a mask. In Tom's notebook, Alice finds a single word, Arlie, and calls Helen to ask what it means. Perhaps it is the name of a restaurant or a hotel. Alice does not know that the journalist had been following Tom for a long time, and that ending up on the same train was no coincidence. Arlie is the name of a yacht where Tom met with Mira. The women head to the yacht. Helen claims she is guided purely by intuition, something all good journalists possess. Alice is too consumed with thoughts of Tom to consider how many convenient coincidences seem to surround Helen in this case. Realizing that Tom had been cheating on her, Alice runs off and hails a taxi. She is devastated by the betrayal of the man she loved, who turned out not to be as wonderful as she had believed. But one way or another, Alice will not rest until she finds him. She meets with Alex. As promised, he has found out who Tom spoke to on the phone. It was Mira. The call was routed to Jordan. Alex is sorry, but it seems Tom really was having an affair with Mira. Most likely Tom is fine. He simply could not, or did not want to, tell Alice the truth to her face. The woman thanks Alex for his kindness. Now all they can do is wait. Alice cannot stop crying. Were all of Tom's words about love nothing more than a beautiful lie? She does not understand why he invited her to Arles then. Alice had devoted herself to archaeology, traveling the world and sleeping in tents, but she wanted at last to settle down in one place and start a family. In Tom, she saw a man with whom she could share such a life. But evidently that was not what he wanted. Alice decides to track down Maurice Giraud, the very same train conductor. He is not at his workplace. Maurice's supervisor genuinely wants to help but cannot give his address to a stranger. Alice is forced to lie, saying that she is pregnant and that Maurice is the father of the child, so she must find him at all costs. That is how she obtains Maurice's address. However, as soon as Alice enters the conductor's apartment, she discovers his body. Clearly someone has set her up. But who, and why? Maurice's wife arrives and naturally assumes that it was Alice who took his life. The woman starts screaming and calling for help. Alice flees the scene, pursued by several men who are clearly aggressive. She manages to throw them off her trail and hide. Later, as she walks down the street, a police car drives past her. Not knowing who else to turn to, Alice calls Alex and tells him what happened. She asks the man to come to her hotel immediately. But the woman has no idea that Alex is the very person who set her up. He sends one of his thugs to the hotel. Alice also calls Helen. The journalist strongly advises her not to trust anyone. She is already on her way. One of Alex's thugs, posing as a delivery man, forces his way into Helen's room, making her escape through the window. He rushes after her. Alice rescues Helen by picking her up in a car. Together the women try to figure out who is hunting Alice. Only Inspector Drax and Alex Durand knew which hotel she was staying at. Alice realizes that her meeting with the journalist was not a coincidence. Helen reveals that she had been following Tom as part of her investigation. Most likely Tom got off the train because of her. Helen takes Alice to a safe place, her home. There, they can speak openly. For the past 6 months, Helen has been digging into Tom Parker, suspecting him of involvement in human trafficking. Hearing this, Alice cannot help but laugh. She cannot imagine, even in her wildest thoughts, that Tom could be involved in something like that. But Helen has solid reasons to suspect him. In her opinion, Alex Durand is involved as well. Alice, however, does not believe that either. After all, Alex had been so polite and so kind to her. She intends to go to the police. The journalist thinks this is a bad idea and turns on the TV. In the news, Alice has been named a suspect in the murder of Maurice Giraud. The woman recalls all the warning signs she had previously ignored, even though it had been obvious that Tom and Mira were close. She had simply chosen not to notice, trusting her lover without question. Alice finds information online about Helen Landau, who had been fired from a publication some time ago for distorting facts. At the moment, the woman works independently. Since Alice has nowhere else to go, she stays with Helen. The journalist's theory is that Tom Parker and Alex Durand are using the charitable organization as a cover for their dirty dealings, money laundering, and something even worse. Helen desperately needs this story to restore her reputation. The women stake out Alex, which leads them to the port. Because of the surveillance cameras everywhere, they cannot leave the car and follow him directly. All they can do is wait. Alice realizes that all of this is somehow connected to the bill of lading she found among Tom's belongings. Later, Alex meets with Inspector Drax, which makes the women think that the police are involved as well. If this turns out to be true, Helen cannot afford to miss such a chance. Any journalist would give half their life for it. The women continue their surveillance and see Alex meet Tom. At that moment, Alice is on the verge of breaking down. She struggles to pull herself together. At least Tom is alive and unharmed. The men get into a taxi and drive away. The women follow them. The traffic light turns red, and Helen is forced to stop. Afraid of losing sight of Tom, Alice jumps out of the car and runs after the taxi. She ends up at some kind of event, where Tom is accompanied by Mira. Alice locks eyes with Tom. He understands that a conversation is inevitable. She wants to know what is going on, why he disappeared. Tom is sorry it turned out this way. He only says that he had something to deal with. Alice cannot understand why Tom was not honest with her, why he did not tell her about Malik, the boy from Jordan. Tom seems not to understand what she is talking about. He declares that it is over between them, and without explaining anything leaves with Mira. This meeting leaves more questions than answers. Alice can no longer move freely through the streets, as the police are searching for her. Confused and broken, she just wants to go home, not to be part of Helen's investigation and all this madness unfolding around her. But nothing will ever be the same again. Helen is the only person Alice can trust. At least they share a common goal, to get to the truth. Alice wonders how she could truly not know the man she had been with for 4 years. She worked so hard to secure a position at Princeton University and build a stable future for herself. All of it was for a happy life with Tom. And now everything has fallen apart. Helen admits that she too once faced betrayal by a man she loved. After 10 years in a relationship, it turned out she did not know her boyfriend at all. He had another family. It was incredibly painful. Helen began drinking heavily, and her journalism career went downhill. The woman decides that Alice is ready and introduces her to Giba, a refugee from Syria. She arrived in France last year. Helen asks Alice to show Giba Tom's photograph. When Giba sees the man's face, she starts screaming in terror. Alice cuts her hair so that she will not be recognized on the streets. Her photo is everywhere in the news. The women try to organize all the clues they have. The bill of lading found among Tom's belongings may be the key. What kind of cargo is he expecting? By deception, the women obtain the cargo number, and under cover of night, head to the port. After sneaking onto the ship, they break open the relevant container and find frightened women and children inside. Alice and Helen freeze in shock until they hear approaching sounds, clearly Alex's or Tom's thugs. Realizing they cannot help the refugees right now, the women run, but they do not get far. One of Alex's men, Saeed, catches them. Alice and Helen are taken to a warehouse, where Tom, Alex and Mira are already waiting. Alex believes the two women have become a problem, especially Alice. She was supposed to return to America after Tom's disappearance. But Alice did not back down. This makes Alex think she is working for someone who wants to take them down. The woman insists that is not the case. She stayed only to find Tom. He stops his enraged colleague from pulling the trigger, arguing that the disappearance of an American woman would not go unnoticed, and they would not get away with it. Their argument is interrupted by the arrival of a truck delivering cargo from the port. Helen is wounded and unconscious. Taking advantage of the distraction, Tom gives Alice a chance to escape, instructing her to neutralize Saeed first. She does exactly that. She is forced to leave without Helen, but Alice promises to bring help. Meanwhile, Alex and Mira are hurting the refugees. Alice enters the nearest bar and calls the police. Inspector Drax and his team arrive. Alice is still the prime suspect in the murder of Maurice Giraud, and Drax has every reason to arrest her. The woman leads the police to the warehouse, but no one is there anymore. Alice can only beg Drax to listen to her. Of course everything sounds insane: human trafficking, money laundering through a charity, a vast conspiracy. As hard as it is for her to admit, Alice is certain that it was Tom who ordered Maurice's life to be taken and framed her. Most likely Tom, Alex and Mira transported the refugees in the same large truck that delivered the cargo. If the inspector believes her, Alice promises to lead him straight to the criminals, who, judging by the logo on the truck, may be hiding at a soap factory. Drax decides to believe her. On the way, Alice asks why he met with Alex the day before. The inspector explains that he was making inquiries about her. From the very beginning, Drax had serious doubts that Alice was capable of committing a crime. What he truly does not understand is how she could have become involved with a man like Tom. She cannot answer that question herself. Drax asks the woman to stay in the car while he and his team handle everything. But she sneaks into the soap factory anyway and finds the wounded Helen. Sed notices Alice and grabs her. This time Alex intends to finish what he started, but Tom once again stands in his way. Drax appears with his team. Tom reveals that he is with Interpol and had been working undercover to expose the criminal network. Everything had been carefully planned. A fierce shootout begins. Alice does not know what to feel, anger or relief at the thought that the man she loves has nothing to do with the criminal organization. Alex tries to escape, and Tom goes after him. Alice runs after them and witnesses their fight. Alex gains the upper hand and prepares to finish Tom, but Alice comes to her lover's aid. At that moment Mira points a gun at them. Before she can fire, Drax appears and shoots her. The refugees are now safe. All charges against Alice are dropped. She is furious with Tom, for not telling her anything and for putting her through the worst nightmare of her life. The man explains that he had no choice. He was recruited 3 years ago in Jordan. All this time he had been working undercover. Lives were at stake. Alice no longer knows what to believe or what to think. Tom says he loves her and cannot imagine his life without her. Now that his mission is over, he is ready to go with her to Princeton. Alice loves him too, although she cannot forgive him. The couple returns to the hotel and gives in to their passion. The next morning Alice meets with Helen, without whom none of this would have been possible. Helen had always believed in her. Alice could not leave without saying goodbye. Tom wakes up in the room and does not find Alice beside him, only a note from her. She leaves Marseille alone.